both true at the same time. They don't disagree.
The Earth is flat.
No.
You just said it was.
No. But no, you can't. You left pieces off. You can't do that.
It is also round. The Earth is also round.
The Earth is perceptionally flat from my human perspective at any given moment in time.
Yeah.
That's true. You say that to me, I agree.
Yeah.
If you say the Earth is flat,
is this solid?
No. You can't leave the rest of it off. You can't leave the qualifiers. Okay. If you say the Earth is flat with no qualifiers on it, no, that's wrong.
But we don't. When you say, I ask you, is this solid? You don't say, well, yes, from my perspective.
You're going in circles now, man. You're not admitting.
No, you are going in circles. I keep telling you, you don't get to say that when I'm talking about this table, I'm going to use the word solid as an approximation from my perspective. And then you go to the Earth and you do the exact opposite. You say, from my perspective, from human perspective, 99% of the time, I'm going to use the word
I put qualifiers on it.
and then you use a bunch of qualifiers. But why don't you put qualifiers on this? You just use the word as an approximation.
If you want me to, I can.
Yeah.
From my perspective, this table is flat and it's solid.
Yeah.
Right? From a tachyon particle's perspective, that table is not very solid at all.
Yeah. But you don't go around saying that this table is only mostly flat and adding all these qualifiers. You just say the table's solid.
Because 99% of the people in the world know what the hell I'm talking about when I say the table's solid. And I don't need the qualifiers.
Exactly.
So I'm saving myself time.
Language is all about approximation.
Dude, come on. That is such a stretch.
Clay, what did you write, by the way? What is that?
What?
The paper you wrote. What is that?
God, imagine how hard life would be.
Can you just summon, guys?
Exactly. That's why you just say the Earth is flat.
Guys, so I've been hearing you guys argue for like 15 minutes. Just give me in a nutshell. I want a summary of what the hell's going on.
I'm just saying.
Clynn's first, then Edwin.
Okay.
I'm saying.
Go. Quick, I got a summary.
Going on record.
I'm going on record. So, when we say this table is solid, what we're saying, the word solid means that most of the time we perceive this table as solid. But over a long period of time, glass is liquid. There's lots of stuff that can go in and out. If you zoom in far enough, it's not really solid. There's lots of holes in it. And so when you're talking about is the Earth flat or is the Earth round, like it's language is about approximating what's really going on for usefulness. We don't want to have to, like Edwin said, always be quantifying everything we say. And so when you say the Earth is round, you don't really use that. Like in your day-to-day life, 99% of people, 99% of the time, perceive the Earth as flat. And so why do you say, from the perspective of astronomical God, the Earth is a sphere, and that's reality? But with the table is reality solid, when like it's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of what you're using and why you're saying it, and it's a matter of shortcutting language. And so when you say this table is solid, this table is no more solid than the Earth is flat. And so if you're going around saying this table is solid, then by the same logic, the Earth is flat.
What is this?
What's what?
What you wrote here.
This is me building a mathematical model of the. This is me building a mathematical model of the universe where you say the center of the Earth is here, and then we're going to graph the entire universe in such a way that I can create the Earth on a 3D graph.
This is you at the center of the universe.
Yeah. This is the surface of the Earth, which I've created as flat, and then this drawing is something different. And then these are like mathematical definitions of sphere that this graph doesn't do. And so it's all a matter of perspective. And I really think what the flat Earth... So what I think the flat Earth people are getting at, and they don't have the eloquency to elocute, is that you should question everything. You should always question everything. Like, if I perceive the Earth as flat, I should say the Earth is flat and make you prove me wrong, right? And that's a good practice to get into. If the whole scientific community is telling you something, you shouldn't just believe it. You should question it, throw it out there, and make them prove you wrong.
All right, Edwin, you got it.
Okay. So the counter argument that I gave is that it is actually correct to say that for a small period of time, for like an area around you, you can say or like approximate that things are flat, and you can use it as a functional model that the Earth is flat, because I can only see for so many miles, and for my very tiny little section of the Earth's surface, to me, in this perspective, it is flat. I can treat it as flat, but that's a functional model. At the same time, the world actually is spherical. And so that
From a
actually,
certain- sorry.
so that actually is the truth of the matter, and it's true not just because it doesn't matter what I think. It's nothing to do with me, or it has nothing to do with perspective or opinions. It doesn't matter. They're both true at the same time. A tiny little section of the Earth is flat, and at the same time, the world itself is spherical. If I'm going to ask for a map to drive around in a car, I'm not going to take a beach ball of the world, and while I'm driving my car, I'm not going to look at a beach ball and try and rotate it and figure out where I'm going, because I need to look at a tiny little section, and the tinier it is, the flatter it is. And so therefore, I will look at a flat map to drive around in a world, but that doesn't change the reality that the world actually is spherical. It's a question of what's the functional model and what's the perspective. And what I'm trying to say is that my reality, my perception, what I think in my opinion, doesn't matter at all for the reality of the universe that exists around me. Nothing changes it. What I think doesn't change the fact that the Earth is actually spherical. It's provably spherical through many different methods, and even so at the same time, it is actually correct to say that my perception around me is flat. So then where Clynn and I kept going back and forth is then he would say, well, then the Earth is flat. And I'd say, no, the Earth is not flat, because when a person says that, it's like, it's the assumption, it's the understanding that's communicated to the other person. If somebody tells me the Earth is flat, I'm going to assume what they're talking about. Is they're going to talk about the world not being a sphere, actually being flat? That's what I assume that they're saying. And if that's what they're saying, the answer is no. If what they meant was, in my functional area around me, it's flat, okay, that's true. I wouldn't argue that. If they said it differently, and they said, like, in my perception around me, it's flat, I'd say yes, I agree. If you tell me that the actual world itself is flat, the answer is no, it's not.
What's this tachyon particle thing?
Oh, he was trying to, he was trying to explain a concept that from the perspective of one thing, something can be something. From the perspective of something else, it's not. So however you look at something, the perspective you look at it from can change functionally how you perceive it.
Sure.
And so, and it was a good point. It's a valid point, right? I don't disagree with that point at all. But that's just perception. It doesn't change reality. It's a difference between what's functional and useful around you versus what is the underlying reality of the actual thing.
All right, Clynn, hold on. You get a couple minutes.
2 minute response.
2 minute conclusion response. Go ahead.
I don't want to conclude. I don't. So
no,
the whole point is, though, to me, that you can talk about reality, but we're communicating with language. And so when I say the Earth is flat, there's nothing real about those words. You can't say, like, well, in reality it's this way. Because like Edwin said, when I say the Earth is flat, I'm communicating an idea to Edwin. And what he's saying is when I say the Earth is flat, the idea that I'm communicating is false from a certain perspective. And
if you're talking about the entire world.
Yeah, and what really what it comes down to is, like, when I say, is this table solid? No. And is the Earth flat? Is when you say the Earth, when you talk about something, you're creating a perspective. When I say the Earth, you're kind of talking about the whole thing. And so when you look at it from the whole thing, it is spherical, right? Like in yeah.
Whoa. That's the first time I heard him say that.
Yeah, thank you.
No, I said it before.
So
you
hold on,
did.
stop.
Some sort of
I'm a little confused. Is the Earth spherical?
It's both. It's both.
That's actually true. It's both.
It's both.
But it's.
So you're not arguing that's not.
I don't disagree with that at all.
My point is,
full agreement.
Language is about shortcutting human communication, and humans.
Yes.
Right, because it's a human thing.
Okay,
Language
that's
is,
right. That's right.
And so if we're going to say this is solid, right, then it means from a human perspective it's solid, because we're communicating as humans. I'm not communicating with base reality. Okay. I'm communicating with humans. And so if I'm going to talk about the Earth, I should talk about the Earth from a human perspective. And 99% of humans, 99% of the time,
99% of humans
perceive, it's probably more. It's like, how many...
talk about that 1%.
How many rocket scientists are there where they have to calculate in the sphere of the Earth? 99.999% of humans for 99.99% of their life will never need to view the Earth as a sphere, and that's the same thing with this table. So
All right.
we say
Good
the
points.
Earth is solid, so
All right,
we say
conclude.
the Earth is flat.
Good
So
points.
I get to conclude too?
You 2 minutes. Go.
I'm done. That's all I have to say.
I
Good.
actually,
No, this is good.
I
2
actually
minutes.
have a lot of agreement with everything he just said there. Especially, I want to talk on the point where he said both are true at the same time.
Yeah.
That's very true. If you're talking about like, if you say is the Earth flat or is it round? If you were asking me in the 10 miles around me, in the radius around me right now, is it flat? The answer is yes. If you were talking about the actual Earth itself, the entirety of it, no, it's round, right? And the difference is, like, as the closer you get to Earth, as you zoom into Earth, in your perspective, the flatter it becomes.
This is really interesting.
So yeah, so if somebody asks you, is the Earth flat or is it round? It actually is like, okay, well, are you asking me about the Earth itself, or are you asking me about the 10 mile radius around it,
I think I discovered the fundamental.
So yeah, that's why.
Do you agree that 99% of whatever the world thinks it's flat?
It's a practical use
Well,
application.
are you talking about
not
from a universal perspective, or right around it?
Well, just their perspective.
I have a really
Well,
important
but you
thing
have
I need
to
to say, Dan.
So,
you have to
so
ask
you hear
that
what? Hold on. You hear what he's saying?
Yes. So I think that fundamentally what we're talking about is I'm saying
There's language and assumptions.
that what we're doing is, for what I'm saying is that when we use language, we should use language from a human perspective. So I say the Earth is flat because I'm saying
But dude,
the
that
language
gets so
I'm
miscommunicated. When
Yes,
you say
yes.
the Earth is flat, people think you're talking about flat Earth, like
Yes.
hanging in space like a pancake.
And what you're
That's what I
talking
think you're
about
talking
is
about.
using. So what I'm talking about is always using a baseline of human
Sure.
perspective, and what Edwin's talking about is using the perspective of whatever the noun is of what we're talking about. So when I say the Earth, all of a sudden instead of using a human perspective, we use an Earth perspective. And then in that situation, when you say the Earth is, and you go to an Earth perspective, it is round, spherical. But if I say the Earth is, and I'm communicating at a human perspective, I say flat.
Dude, here's where you're going out on a limb, and it's just, I think, and just practically wrong, right? I'd say almost every human on the planet, if you ask them, is the Earth flat, they're going to think that you're talking about hanging in the universe like flat as a pancake, and the answer
Correct.
is no. So like that's why like I push back against that, and you're right to say that. Hey, are you asking me about this or this? You put some qualifiers around it to be clear about what you're saying. But let's be honest about it. If you ask someone, if you say, is the Earth flat? They're going to assume
You're
that you're
talking
talking about in the universe. And the answer is no.
From the perspective of the noun in the sentence, the Earth.
Yeah.
And so when I say the Earth, they automatically go perspective of the whole Earth is spherical. But what I'm saying is I think that there's a reasonable argument to use human perspective as the consistency.
I think Clynn likes to argue things.
Okay, stop.
sometimes.
All right.
Yes.
And flat earthers are nuts.
All right, guys. Okay, and by the way, it's not Clint, it's Iceman.
Iceman. And
All right.
I don't really want to say that.
We gotta go. But
give me 30 seconds. Give me 30 seconds. I don't really want to say the Earth is a sphere.
Okay, Steve Menendian.
I don't really want to say the Earth is a sphere. I think that the flat Earth thing is a great thing because it's really more about questioning. Like they say the Earth is sphere. I'm gonna say some ridiculous statement. The Earth is flat. Now you need to prove me wrong. And I think that's a great exercise.
All right, we'll do a quick poll.
I think that this
Hold
is
on.
a great exercise.
Jeremy, is the Earth flat or is it
Both. I don't know.
It's both.
The world is a cube.
Yeah.
The world is a vampire.
4 hours.
The world is a
to
chaos
explain.
sword. Let's go play some Magic.
Vintage Magic. Game, collect, invest. For more information about our consulting and professional services, visit vintagemagic.com.
Hey guys, it's me, Daniel with VintageMagic.com. I'm here to share with you more about our deck and set collector fulfillment service. The deck fulfillment service caters to the player. And what that basically means is if you are a player looking to fulfill your old school Magic deck, certain Power 9 or key pieces in your Vintage deck, or dual lands in your Legacy deck, we have the inventory and the resources to help you fulfill your needs. Next, we have the set collector fulfillment service. This really caters more towards the collector. Oftentimes I've been asked, hey Dan, can you help me find this specific graded card for this set? Or Dan, can you find me these 20 cards left in my beta set? It doesn't matter what you're looking for, even if it's like every single Sarah Angel possible out there, I can help you out. My resources and extensive network in Magic the Gathering, I was able to help thousands of clients all over the world fulfill their needs. I've made it my mission at vintagemagic.com to be your one-stop shop for all your collector needs. For any significant item or collection, we're able to travel anywhere in the world to meet you. The reason why my clients love this service because it saves you time. What happens is collectors and players often search all over online or vendors and they never find exactly what they're looking for. By going to us, we are the only one-stop shop who can help you with your needs. Using our service gets you exactly what you want and saves you time and money.
Vintage Magic. Game, collect, invest. For more information about our consulting and professional services, visit vintagemagic.com.